What you are looking at is what could have been U.S. carriers operating the Airbus A380 around the world. But this never happened, and in today's video, we are going to dive deep into why no U.S. carrier ever ordered the A380. It's deeper than you think. The Airbus A380 represents aviation's boldest engineering gambit in decades. A full-length double-decker with a wingspan greater than its 238-foot-long fuselage, capable of moving 550 passengers while burning roughly a ton of fuel every 20 minutes. At rotation, its 4 Rolls-Royce Trent 900 engines generate enough thrust to lift 1.2 million pounds skyward, yet the cabin remains whisper-quiet by any technical metric. It's an aerospace masterpiece. So why did every U.S. flag carrier, Delta, United, and American unanimously decide this isn't for us? The A380 specifications, they read like aviation hyperbole: maximum takeoff weight, 1.2 million pounds, service ceiling 43,000 feet, fuel capacity, 85,000 gallons. Yet, despite this scale, the A380 achieves remarkable performance. Its complex flight control systems allow for surprisingly nimble handling characteristics for an aircraft of its dimensions. More revolutionary was its cabin architecture. With almost 6,000 square feet of usable floor space, airlines implemented concept previously confined to drawings. Emirates installed shower spas, Qatar Airways created private suites, and Etihad designed a 3-room flying apartment with a dedicated butler. This wasn't incremental innovation. It was a paradigm shift in aircraft interiors, but American airline carriers collectively said no thanks. The A380 wasn't merely a new aircraft. It represented Airbus's thesis about the future of global air transport. By the early 2000s, major gateways faced unprecedented congestion. Heathrow operated at 98% capacity. Tokyo implemented slot restrictions. JFK established peak hour pricing. Airbus's solution was logical. If constraints limited aircraft movements, move more passengers per movement. The A380 was engineered for this hub-and-spoke future, where slot-constrained mega-hubs would necessitate higher-capacity aircraft. Boeing, however, saw a fundamentally different trajectory. Their analysis suggested passengers valued direct connectivity over hub transfers. They anticipated fragmentation of traditional traffic flows, with fuel-efficient twin-engine aircraft serving point-to-point routes that bypassed congested hubs entirely. This wasn't just about aircraft design. It was about competing visions for global aviation's evolution. And in North America, Boeing's vision proved decisively correct. American carriers' rejection wasn't casual dismiss, but a calculated evaluation based on multiple factors. It's worth noting that during the A380's development in early production years, the U.S. airline industry looked quite different than it does today, before the wave of consolidation that reshaped American aviation between 2005 and 2013. Carriers like U.S. Airways Continental, Northwest, and American West were major players with their own international networks and fleet strategies. Yet none of these pre-consolidation carriers ordered the A380 either. Each independently evaluated the aircraft and reached the same conclusion as their successors would. The Super Jumbo didn't align with their operational needs. First was network architecture. U.S. airlines had developed multi-hub systems distributing international traffic across numerous gateways. This deliberate traffic distribution, it meant passenger volumes rarely concentrated sufficiently on single routes to justify the A380's capacity for Continental, focused on Newark and Houston for Northwest, centered on Detroit and Minneapolis for U.S. Airways, with strength in Philadelphia and Charlotte. The math simply didn't work. Infrastructure presented yet another barrier. The A380's Code F classification. It required significant airport modifications, wider taxiways, reinforced bridges, redesigned gates, and triple jetway boarding systems. Most U.S. airports lack these facilities, and implementation costs often fell partly to airlines at JFK-only Terminal 4. Could properly accommodate the A380 LAX required significant reconstruction. O'Hare remained largely incompatible throughout the aircraft's production lifespan. Most decisive was the economic calculus, the A380's 4-engine configuration. It incurred maintenance complexities and fuel consumption. That twin-engine alternatives avoided the risk of filling 550 seats versus 300 seats. Significantly altered revenue dynamics for carriers operating in the hyper-competitive U.S. market, especially. As airlines navigated bankruptcies and mergers during this period, the A380's economics simply didn't compute, regardless of their corporate structure. Emirates' success with the A380. It actually reinforces why American carriers rejected it. They operated in entirely different ecosystems. Emirates built their business model around a single mega hub in Dubai, strategically positioned between continents, their geographic position. It allowed them to reach most major global cities within a single flight segment. Dubai International Airport. It was engineered around a 380 operations terminal. 3 features 20 gates designed exclusively for the Super Jumbo, the airport's 24-hour operations. They permitted optimal utilization without nightmare curfews. Common at American airports, $2,000 in fines due to curfew violations. Moreover, Emirates' government backing allowed strategic patience that publicly traded American carriers simply couldn't afford. Emirates ultimately purchased 123 A380s, nearly half of the total production, and built their global brand identity around it. For them, the A380 wasn't just an aircraft choice, it was their fundamental competitive advantage. This reveals a crucial insight. The A380, it wasn't inherently flawed, it was purpose-built for a specific operational model that American carriers couldn't really pull off. By 2019, the A380's narrative appeared to be concluding. Airbus announced the end of production airlines' accelerated retirement plans. The secondary market had collapsed. Then came the pandemic, with even financially healthy airlines across the world staring at bankruptcies. The coronavirus crisis could cause a collapse of major international airlines. Massive revenue losses for airlines this year, initially seeming to write the A380's final chapter. At the peak of COVID restrictions, 90% of the global A380 fleet sat in. Storage analysts declared it the final blow in an industry desperate to minimize cash burn. The A380's economics appeared wholly unsuitable to a post-pandemic world, but as travel rebounded with unexpected velocity, a surprising counter-narrative emerged. Airlines faced capacity crisis, surging demand, coupled with delivery delays for new aircraft. British Airways reactivated its entire A380 fleet. Qantas accelerated return to service planes. Most surprisingly, Lufthansa, which had announced permanent retirement, reversed course entirely. The A380's second act wasn't as the future of aviation, but as a pragmatic solution to an unanticipated capacity problem. What makes the A380 remarkable is how thoroughly it prioritized passenger experience. Over economics, the aircraft cabin pressure is maintained at 6,000 feet equivalent versus the industry standard 8,000 feet. Its structure attenuates turbulence more effectively than smaller aircraft. Cabin noise registers 5 to 10 decibels lower than comparable wide bodies. These aren't marketing points. They're measurable physiological advantages that translate into genuine passenger preference. Surveys consistently show higher satisfaction on A380 flights, even in identical seat configurations. This preference creates passenger premiums, the ability to charge slightly higher fares for a A380 service on competitive route. This creates a fascinating tension between operational economics and passenger experience. One of the most interesting paradoxes in the A380's legacy. The A380 was a wager on a specific version of air travel's future, a future that never fully materialized. Initial forecasts projected demand for 1,200-plus very large aircraft. The reality, just 251 A380s, delivered. Multiple vectors converged to create this disconnect. The 2008 financial crisis. It altered airlines' risk tolerance. Ultra-long-range twins enabled point-to-point service, bypassing hubs, ETOP certifications, expanded permitting, twins en route, previously requiring 4 engines. Most significantly, anticipated slot constraints developed more gradually than projected. Airports implemented technologies increasing movement capacity. Secondary airports absorbed overflow, regional politics, complicated expansion more than Airbus's models predicted. The A380 was designed for a future that arrived more slowly and less completely than anticipated. Yet as global air travel continues to grow, projected to double by 2040, and as environmental concerns constrain airport expansion, could there be a future where the A380's concept proves more precedent than premature? Perhaps it wasn't wrong just early. This strategy, well, it enabled routes that would have been unfeasible with larger aircraft: San Francisco to Singapore, Dallas to Auckland, Atlanta to Johannesburg. The rejection of the A380 wasn't American carriers being provincial. It was them accurately reading their market dynamics and building fleets that matched their network strategies. A consistency that persisted through the industry's transformation. Every aviation era has its defining aircraft. The DC-3 that made air travel commercially viable. The 747 that democratized international travel. The Concorde pushed speed boundaries. The A380 takes its place among these icons, not as a financial success, but as a testament to technological ambition. It pushed engineering boundaries, forcing innovations in aerodynamics, materials, science, and systems integration. It compelled airports to evolve, It reimagined the passenger experience for all its commercial challenges. The A380 achieved something remarkable. It rekindled wonder in commercial aviation. In an era where flight had become routine, the A380 reminded us of aviation's capacity to inspire. Or American carriers may have passed on the A380, but its technological legacy flies on. Many of its innovations appear in newer designs. Its DNA lives in the A350 and other models that followed. And for those traveling en route where it still operates, the A380. He continues to deliver an experience unlike any other. A glimpse at what might have been was the A380 a visionary aircraft before its time, or an evolutionary dead end perhaps. It was both. And that complexity is what makes its story so fascinating. What do you think? Have you flown on an A380? Would you seek out routes served by the Super Jumbo? Let me know in the comments, and if you appreciated this analysis, subscribe for more aviation deep dives just like this one.